gonna stop. Go.
What? Where the hell did that come from? Hey YouTubeverse, Jason Newman here, and I wanted to share with you the little side project I've been working on. So in the Captain America community, the replica makers have pretty much figured out all of Steve's major and minor pieces of equipment in his gear, from, of course, the shield bag, the suit, the helmet, the leather with the accessories, the screen printed texture on the leather accessories, his compass. I have seen people replicating his shield personnel file. The community knows if you want a more screen accurate look, which boots you should go buy. So this is a long way of saying we're kind of running out of stuff to replicate, and that is a kudos to the community. I've had fun contributing to the community, I hope, by finding little items and things that were hard for other people to discover. For example, I think when I was beginning to get into this and I wanted to upgrade my shield straps, I located these things, these cinch lock buckles. And you have to modify them. You have to cut this bar, take this piece, throw it away, file these teeth down. But if you do that, you end up with screen accurate buckles for every shield after the first Avenger. In the first Avenger, they have these unique, odd design buckles that I had fabricated. I located the screen accurate screws to use for the shields. Security hex screws. The one that was like the most labor intensive was in the Winter Soldier. Cap wears the Smithsonian helmet, and he has a unique clasp for the chin strap. And that one took me a while to figure out. It turns out that is the clasp on a wet weather boot. And it's a design they've been using for over 100 years. And I know that because we watch Home Alone every year around Christmas time. And if you're looking for it, bam, it punches you right in the face. So while I'm watching Captain America Civil War, one of the things that I always noticed was this grapple hook launcher that Steve pulls out of nowhere like he's a Looney Tunes character. And when I say out of nowhere, I mean the fight in Lagos, it's not there. Bucharest, it's not there. It's not there. The airport sequence, not there. The secret Hydra base during which he launches the grapple hook, it's not there. And yet, it happened so quickly, I wanted to see if I can get a good look at the grapple hook prop that they used. And it turns out, no, I can't. Not at all. It's not featured in the Art of book. It is not mentioned in any of the interviews that I could find. It's never been up for auction as far as I know. It is as if this prop in real life materialized and then vanished just as quickly. The only bits that I could find were those handful of frames that are usable from the movies. And even then, you have to significantly alter the light levels in order to be able to see anything. But from those few frames, I was able to make this. This is as close to screen accurate as I could make it, given the information that I had. The first iteration that I made, I think was a little bit small in the hand. And then once I got the size where I wanted it, I just reused the part that is the claws. Once I get the size where I wanted it, one of the issues that I had was the clip. I print in PLA. Despite the fact that I had this oriented so that the layer lines print vertically instead of horizontally, it was just too weak. This material is way too thin, and what was happening was this was snapping off. You can actually see there's already some stress being put on the clip. So the problem we kept running into was the thickness of the leather that I picked when I made my belt. Uh, I don't really know my leathers as well as I should, so I just grabbed some big old thick leather, and the belt is double layered. That is 8 millimeters. Each layer is 4 millimeters. For this clip to sit as close to the body as it does, that is a very long distance that has to reach. Even as solid as you can try to make this, that is bendy. So to solve that, I did a couple of different things. The first thing I did was I made the decision to not have the clip need to go across both layers. I decided it's only going to need to slip down behind this first layer in between the pouches. So I cut some of the stitches, and now the clip can slide down in there. Second thing I did was I moved the clip further away from the body. I prefer the way that it looks when the clip is much closer to the body. But I think I would prefer this to having these snap off all the time. And reality just is what it is. The next thing I did was I outsourced the 3D printing to get printed in aluminum through Craft Cloud 3D. This feels a lot stronger. I wouldn't test it to see how much it would take to break it off. I mean, it is still a very thin piece of metal, but 3D printed aluminum is surprisingly very strong. So doing the entire thing in aluminum may have been a bit overkill. You probably could get away with just having this piece 3D printed in aluminum and the rest of it being in PLA plastic. But then you're going to run into the problem of this will be a different shade of metal than this. Even if you paint it in really good metallic, they won't match. I wanted a little bit more of an authentic feel and experience, so it works for me. But do what works best for you. The only real modification that I needed to make was to print the body in black. So let me show you how this works. You 3D print it, the main body, and this is the piece that simulates the grapple hooks. And here's the clip. So when I printed this in PLA, the friction fit was strong enough to where I was able to just leave them alone as they were, but it looks like the aluminum is a little bit more slick, but it's nothing that JB Weld won't be able to fix. And then you slide the clip down in here and you're done. It is easy peasy. So this is purely a decorative item. I attempted to make it functional, but with all of the physics, putting a spring in here and a trigger and having the hooks open up, even if I could have figured out all of the physics behind that, I would have quickly decided not to, because the last thing I need during a meet and greet is to have one of these accidentally go off while on a fan or myself. And then I have a whole new set of problems. If you're like me and you like filling your time figuring out stuff like this and bothering strangers on the internet for details, this was a fun little side project. I will make the files available in the description. If you are so inclined and you end up 3D printing them, I would love to see what it looks like. I would love to see it if you end up improving on the design at all. And I would really love to get a good look at the actual prop. If anybody out there has access to the actual prop, please get in touch with me. But until next time, enjoy. The only other thing I wanted to say was I wanted this to look good for the video, but I think Cap's gear looks best when it's distressed a little bit. So immediately after I recorded the last frame, I rolled this thing across the floor a few times, end over end and somersault and all that. I dropped it a few times and then I hit it with some of this green pad Scotch-Brite stuff. And now it has a little bit of the authentic weathering going on.
A few moments later.
So remember way back when I said that 3D printing this in aluminum made the clip feel much, much stronger? It turns out I lied. I went on to JB Weld this whole thing together in the clip, and I put it on my belt, and everything was great for about 10 seconds, and then it snapped right off. I'm starting to see why it was missing during all of the events of Civil War until they needed it. I would not be surprised if the prop was flimsy as well. However, so a friend of mine who I share almost all of my details with, we were troubleshooting it, and he designed a much more robust clip and I'll make this available along with a secondary version in the files. But this should also work for anybody. It's very difficult to break, but I'm not going to test it. But for me, even this is not going to work because at the end of the day, my leather is just too thick. So for my specific needs, I have ordered and installed a spring steel clip. So I think for me, spring steel is the way I gotta go. So another thing that I figured out was, let me back this up just a touch. Okay, so another thing I figured out was trying to put it in between these. I think I have my pouches set a little closer together than they do in the movies, but regardless, thick leather, everything's a fight. I put this on here, and you see already it is a pain to get on. But if I do get it on, now the problem is it kind of doesn't want the belt to do what I want it to do. So my friend Bobbert, Lucius Fox that he is, says, hey, did you notice in the reference photos that it is kind of on the belt, tilted a little bit? Why don't you just put it on the pouch? So I think I would recommend this even if you don't get a spring steel and you just do this at home, because it sits nice and tall and kind of tilted to the side, and now your belt will not fight with you. But that's yeah, that clip is something. I don't think I would recommend this particular spring clip because the screws that they sent are garbage. I had to bend it to get it to fit the round body. These are screws that I had in my workshop, and even then I had to file them down to make room. And they don't give you instructions. They don't tell you what bit size, and the screws that they sent are hex screws, and they are like the width of a human hair. It is. I don't have anything that would even be able to work on them. But spring steel is probably the way to go for people who want ultimate durability.